Hey everyone, it's been a while I've made a video. So today I wanted to talk about this very interesting community article. And this is written by Javier Arroyo. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. And this article is about introducing design patterns to coding practices. Now, as part of this article, right, Javier happened to mention a certain techniques through which we can, modularize our code and split our code with a great division of responsibility such that our design could be more, scalable and extensible. That is, it will be super easy to accommodate new business logic and new functionalities if at all our code follows a certain structure. And this article is about discussing, the best structure to follow when implementing the backend logic for any functionality within ServiceNow. So, well, in this article, Javier has a few recommendations. First is he said there'll be, a database access layer followed by um, a business logic layer, etc. Now, I've made a diagram of the layers over here. The layers are in this format. There would be a business access layer, and there should be a database access layer, and with a few helper objects like a message container and a business configuration object. Now, a business access layer is primarily like a script include where we can program the business logic that concerns any feature or any application. Now, this would be involving the if else's, the switch cases, and like what to do when the user inputs a certain piece of data and compare it against database values and take the business decisions as to what to do over there. Database access layer, primarily this is a script include where we interact with the database. This would typically house n number of methods which would be responsible for accessing the database. This may contain various methods depending on different tables one would like to access, and also different type of queries one would want to apply onto the tables. And a few helper methods, sorry, a few helper objects over here would be the message containers and the business configuration object. Message containers would be containing the constant messages and texts that we would like to use in our business layer. And also, the fourth one would be the business configuration object, where we would maintain the payload structures for different objects that we plan to use throughout our application. And any changes to the payload would be done here. Uh, and such that the business logic does not get impacted by any of the payload changes. So this is the division of responsibility that is recommended by Javier in this article. And I've created a sample implementation of what he's mentioned. And I'd probably like to show you guys the layers that I've created and maybe just do a test run. As you can see, this is the base DAL, which is nothing but DAL stands for database access layer. And in this, as you guys can see, right, I have written three methods. There's an insert, there's a query, which is nothing but like a get call, and there is update. And each of these methods, primarily, they are taking in something called as options, which would contain the table information and other information. And then they also take in a payload as an input, which needs to be either inserted or the payload could be referred. Okay, in the query function, we are not necessarily using the payload since it's a get query. But in the update function, the payload could be containing the values that we would like to update, etc. And this is the database access layer. Now, the other one would be this is the business access uh, layer, and this is where we would be containing our business logic. Let's say create basic incident or update all sample incidents. Um, this layer primarily defines what are the actions that you would like to do and what logical decisions that you would want to take. And in addition to this, I've created incident option, which is as mentioned by Javier, this should be to track different payloads and other details. So basically, this would be returning a bunch of objects which we would be using for a bunch of configurations or however we would like to use. And the responsibility of this script include should be such that it should be a one-stop place to make any payload updates, and we would be it's a best practice to write the business logic such that the business logic would not be impacted by the payload changes which are performed over here. And that's when these script includes will be able to act in synergy and fulfill their responsibilities. And that's regarding the incident option. And lastly, this is the base database access layer messages. And this is where we would be containing in the constants that would be used across the business layer. And so overall, with this, this is a demo implementation of a layered architecture, which follows, this kind of a, pattern. And that's what this super interesting article talks about. And there's not so much of a demo as part of this video, but uh, I've created a basic background script wherein we can just do a test run of this logic. We can hit this and you can see there's an incident that got created. And uh, and yeah, the way we would be making any hits now, or the way we would be accessing this framework would be through the business logic, the business access logic layer, the business access layer, sorry. Yeah. So we would be taking the incident BAL object, and upon that, we would be one is required to perform any of the methods, and these methods would internally be accessing the messages, the configuration objects, and the database access layer, and finally displaying user the necessary output. So if this entire thing would act like a one big service, then the entry point to this service would be through this business access layer. Yeah, so that's what this community post talks about. It was a great post. I'll share the link to this post in the description, and I hope you guys found this informative. Relevant to these kind of posts, if you guys want me to make any sort of further implementations, I would be super happy to create a sample video explaining through one such piece for you guys. So yep, let me know if at all there's anything that I can help anyone with something in this domain. So thank you so much for watching. Have a good day, everyone. Chat with you later. Bye bye.